Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Shocking figures show Tasmania's underfunded public schools will have more money pulled from their budgets over the next 5 years. The Australian Education Union says students are being deprived of learning opportunities and is calling on the federal government to issue a timeline for intervention.
Fed up with the funding gap between public and private schools, the Australian Education Union says it's the children paying the price.
We're not asking for major changes to the system, we're asking for the system to be funded properly.
A new report by economist Adam Rorris shows that by 2028, each public school student will be denied more than $2,300 compared to $2,100 this year. Meanwhile, Tasmania's private schools will rack up $30 million of excess money.
$2,000 per student in all of our public schools would make a massive difference. The ability to reduce class sizes, to provide extra support.
The union's supported by the state government and its opposition.
We'll continue to lobby the federal government to do its bit, to take its share of the education responsibilities here in Tasmania and lift its funding of our state schools from 20% up to 25%.
We now have some of the worst education outcomes in the country, and it's simply not good enough.
Federal Education Minister Jason Clare says funding is important, but so is what it's spent on. That's why the government has asked an expert panel to advise education ministers on what reforms should be tied to funding in the next agreement, which it promises will include targets to close the education gap. Negotiations with states and territories on the next funding agreement will begin next year.
If we don't put a timeline on this, it's going to be another generation of students that is going to be underfunded.
Brianna Boylan, 7 Tasmania News.
A new multi-storey car park at the Launceston General Hospital will feature around 500 extra spaces. Work on the facility's design is now underway, pushed forward to help meet future demand for health services. Tasmanian company Artis Architects will lead the project, part of the government's 10-year $580 million plan to upgrade the precinct.
Obviously, as we build those better health services, we need to add infrastructure around that, so this car park's really important.
Construction is expected to begin late next year. Brighton Council is up in arms after being excluded from the draft River Derwent Ferry Master Plan. 6 cities have been identified as potential ferry sites. Brighton left off the list despite being one of Tasmania's fastest growing regions. Its mayor says it's a missed opportunity with the new Bridgewater Bridge under construction.
As part of that build, the government is committed to build a new jetty and a new boat ramp. I just feel it's silly to not provide a purpose-built ferry terminal.
Buses are unreliable. Many people who live in this area find it very hard to access transport cars of their own.
The government says the bridge will be enough to service the Brighton municipality. Tasmania's small existing companies will receive more support thanks to a refreshed business advice service. They'll be eligible for up to 5 hours of free guidance on how to achieve their goals from experienced advisors best suited to their needs. New establishments will also be entitled to advice through the Business Support Program.
Within 2 days, I'd been lined up with a free appointment with David from Project Lab. He was able to give me some guidance and make sure I was on the right track with my business planning and the safeguards, things like insurances.
It's aimed to be flexible in terms of its delivery. It can be face-to-face or it can be accessed online.
It's hoped the programs will help grow Tasmania's economy. Back home, and thousands have risen early and hit the roads of Hobart for this year's Point to Pinnacle. Runners and walkers of all ages and abilities taking on the demanding challenge, each finding their own motivation to reach the top of the mountain.
Sunday is traditionally the day of rest, but for others it was half marathon time.
3, 2, 1...
Conditions were clearer this year, but the point to Pinnacle was still fearsome.
I'm from Ulverston and there's definitely no hills like that.
Not many people can do this, and I take my hat off to every single person walking, running.
Battling elements and the climb, runners snaked up the mountain. From bagpipes to banging drums, they had support along the gruelling trek. Aaron Harvey first over the line in 1 hour 26 minutes.
Kind of had about a 15-20 second gap and then kind of didn't really see anyone else the rest of the way.
Millie Clark too strong in the women's division.
It's harder than I remember, to be honest. It was really tough today.
As the morning wore on, the finish line became busier, many looking to make a final dash.
It's going well. It's going very well.
I suppose it's therapy, it's fitness, it's time for thinking, and it's sheer enjoyment.
I went out to do like 2 hours 20, 2.5, beat last year's time and I smashed it, so happy.
Some working hand in hand, others greeted at the top. This runner braving the cold for athletic and aesthetic reasons.
You get the shirt out, you can breathe better, easier to breathe. But nah, that's pretty much it. Get the rig out as well.
Ned Brockman and his team scored more than a decent finish time, raising $500,000 for charity.
Crazy money. So everyone's just, all the emotions, as you can imagine.
There was time for a quick selfie or two before attention turned to the post-race recovery.
The professional thing to do is have an ice bath, isn't it? So, I don't know.
So we'll probably
have a party.
You've got to finish with something good. And chalky milk ain't it today.
John Hunt, 7 Tasmania News.
Tasmanian Tapwater is a step closer to being crowned the world's top drop after making a splash at the National Awards. Taswater's Fern Tree Treatment Plant won the Best Tasting Tapwater Award in Victoria yesterday. Judged on a blind taste test, it was recognised for its colour, clarity, odour and taste. The plant will represent Australia at the International Water Tasting event in the US in February. Spring is in the air and there's a buzz about Longford as private gardens open to the public. The 10th instalment of Longford Blooms was by far the biggest, attracting record crowds.
Traipsing through grand gardens, plush with beautiful blooms and lavish lawns amongst the bustle of modern life, it's nice every now and then to stop and smell the roses and take in the tranquility. The gates of a dozen private yards opening to crowds of thousands each day this weekend, by far the biggest Longford Blooms yet.
We've had an enormous number of people through yesterday, roughly 2,500 people. It's lovely to see people enjoying themselves and asking questions and wanting to know more.
Busloads coming from as far as Hobart to enjoy the spectacle.
Lovely, beautiful. It took us 3 hours to come up this morning.
Was it worth it?
Yeah.
The annual event raising money for charity and breathing life into the town. Wandering through these marvellous gardens all day, you can't help but feel a green thumb beginning to sprout. Luckily, those who've been inspired don't need to go home empty-handed.
I've just started out with my garden and I've just got a bit of land to deal with. You get to learn different things, different plants, see all these different ideas. So it's really good, you get some great ideas from it.
And those who catch the gardening bug might just be next year's exhibitors. Joanna Ing inspired to open her garden after moving to Longford 18 months ago. Getting it ready has been a year-long labour of love.
I was a bit nervous at first, but just the pleasure that people are getting out of it just multiplies your own pleasure, 4 times. So, yeah, I'm really glad. We'll be in it next year. Yeah, so people can come and see what's happened in 12 months.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
The Jack Jumpers have 2 weeks off to rest weary bodies after scoring a gruelling win over an unyielding Cairns Taipans. In a game which finally satisfied the coach's pleas for improved defence, there's one shot everyone is talking about.
Scores locked and the clock counting down from 7 seconds, this buzzer beater from Jack McVeigh might go down as shot of the year.
Magne passed me the ball from the inbounder and I was like, yes, I get to shoot this. And then he passed it back and I just let it fly and Then I can't really remember what happened for the 30 seconds after that.
It followed an arm wrestle up in the tropics, Cairns and Tassie unrelenting, sending the match into overtime.
It was a grinder, and you walk away with that one, and I told these guys if we hadn't lost that game, I'd have been just as proud of them the way they competed and played.
McVeigh, the top scorer on a night with plenty of stars, the Jackies sharing the workload around.
Magnay was in there being a beast. We had multiple guys with great effort. Shawnee Mack doing his thing down the stretch, and so it was just fun out there. Guys continually stepping forward, stepping up when their name's called, and it's just a fun group to be part of out there.
Will Magnay is healthy despite copping a nasty poke to the eye. The whole side will be better off for a fortnight off before playing the 36ers again on December 2.
We got some time to rest, but we have a lot of work ahead of us if we're going to try to make a move and get to where we'd like to go.
Nick Kelly, 7 Tasmania News.
A trio of tons has put Tasmania in pole position to win its Sheffield Shield clash against New South Wales. Bo Webster and Jack Doran both notched up 3 figures as part of a 202-run 5th wicket partnership. Bradley Hope then rubbed salt into the Blues' wounds, scoring a century of just 110 balls.
Backward point, 4 more runs to the opposite.
There it is.
And there it is.
Despite it not being an overly great shot, it doesn't matter. Brad Hope has a century to his name.
Tasmania were eventually bowled out for 493. At stumps, New South Wales were 3 for 46. In the WBBL, the Hurricanes remain in the finals race after a dominant win over the Renegades. Heather Graham starred with 3 for 12 as the Canes restricted Melbourne to 101 from their 20 overs. In reply, Hobart's captain Elise Viliani top scored with 46.
Gets the full toss and appropriately hits the winning runs, the skipper.
The Hurricanes winning by 8 wickets with 14 balls to spare. They're still in contention for the top 4 after the Heat lost to the Stars this afternoon.
Hobart reached 23 today, a degree warmer in Launceston, while Burnie only got as high as 20 degrees, 19 the top in Devonport. St Helens a balmy 25, Low Head 19, a degree cooler on Flinders Island, Grove hitting 21 and King Island 16, Strawn 17. A few isolated showers today about the west and southern half of the state, clearing to partly cloudy this afternoon. The satellite shows a vast area of thunderstorm across the Northern Territory, stretching across Queensland and New South Wales. It will hang around tomorrow, while Tasmania will again be affected by a high pressure ridge south of the mainland. Winds sitting around 4 knots, reaching 15 knots offshore. Tomorrow, 20 in Hobart, becoming cloudy, the same in Dover, and 24 in Oos. 25 and cloudy in Launceston, 20 in Devonport, 22 in Scottsdale, 19 in Burnie with clouds all around. Cooler in Strawn, 18 the top there, getting up to 22 degrees in Stanley. St Helens will reach 20, a degree cooler in Swansea, while Ross can expect a top of 23 degrees. On Tuesday, light showers about the central and eastern districts, mostly light winds. Fine on Wednesday with possible showers about the northeast and southwest. Fine too on Thursday. The temperatures there will be a bit fresher around the coast in the afternoon. Tomorrow, a sunny 33 in Perth, cloudy in Adelaide and Melbourne, 26 in Sydney, rain for Brisbane and a top of 25. Right now in Hobart, it's 17 and mostly cloudy, 19 in Launceston and partly cloudy, while in Devonport it is 17 and mostly sunny. That's weather tonight, Lou.
Wonderful, thank you for that, Nick. And that is all your news for now. And that's also me signing off for a little while as I'm off on maternity leave. Our second baby is due to join our family in just a few weeks and will make our precious little Matilda a big sister. Thank you so much to our lovely viewers for all the well wishes over the last few months, and thank you also to our incredible team for making it a joy to come to work, especially on those tough days. Enjoy your evening and I'll see you soon. Good night.